Commander G1 Park sat in the communications center when the distress signal arrived. The message was broken and weak, coming from deep in contested space. She listened carefully as the computer tried to clean up the static. This is Karneth Fortress. Toxin deployed. Children trapped. Need. Human. Please. The message ended. G1 felt her heart beat faster. She knew about Karneth. It was a Vraxian fortress station that held civilian families. The Vraxians were not enemies of humanity, but they were not close friends either. They kept to themselves mostly. Play it again, G1 said to the technician. The message played 3 more times. Each time, G1 heard the fear in the voice. Whoever sent this message was desperate. Get me all information on Karneth, she ordered. Within minutes, her screen filled with data. Karneth housed 200 Vraxian civilians. 47 of them were children. The fortress sat in a dangerous area of space where 3 different territories met. Right now, the Kresh Dominion had surrounded it. The Kresh were known for cruelty. They took what they wanted and destroyed what they could not take. Intelligence reports showed they had deployed a weapon called Gray Sleep. It was a nerve toxin that spread through air systems. Victims would fall unconscious within an hour. After 6 hours, their brains would be damaged forever. G1 looked at the timestamp on the distress signal. It was sent 40 minutes ago. She walked quickly to the command center. Admiral Chen stood at the main display, already studying the situation. Commander Park, he said without looking at her. I assume you heard the distress call. Yes, sir. We need to respond immediately. The Admiral turned to face her. His expression was tired. Look at the tactical display. G1 looked. Her stomach sank. 3 Kresh warships orbited Karneth. The fortress's own automated defense systems were active and set to kill anything that approached. Weapon platforms surrounded the station like a deadly fence. The Kresh are smart, Admiral Chen said. They deployed the toxin, then activated the fortress's own defenses. Anyone who tries to help will be destroyed. They will wait until everyone inside is brain damaged. Then they will take the fortress intact. The distress call specifically mentioned humans, G1 said. Why would they ask for us? A science officer spoke up. Vraxian physiology processes toxins differently than most species. Humans have the most similar neural structure to Vraxians in this sector. If anyone could survive gray sleep long enough to help, it would be a human. G1 felt something stir in her memory. When she was 12 years old, she had gotten very sick. The doctors said her immune system had changed, becoming better at fighting off toxins and poisons. It had saved her life then. What if someone was resistant to gray sleep? She asked. The science officer shook his head. Resistant, maybe. Immune? No. They might last longer, but the toxin would still work eventually. How much longer? Maybe 8 to 10 hours instead of 6, but it would not matter. No one can get through those defenses. Admiral Chen looked at G1 carefully. I know what you are thinking, Commander. The answer is no. We are here to observe and report. Those are our orders. Sir, there are children. I know. The Admiral's voice was firm but not unkind. I know exactly what is happening in there. But I will not send my people on a suicide mission. We do not have the ships or firepower to fight through. I am sorry. G1 stood at attention. Yes, sir. She left the command center, but her mind was racing. Her younger brother had died in a hostage situation when G1 was 18. The authorities had waited too long. They had followed orders. They had been careful. And her brother had died anyway. She would not let that happen again. G1 went to her quarters and accessed the tactical database. She studied the fortress layout for an hour. There had to be a way in. The Kresh were watching the main approaches. But what about damage points? She found it. 3 days ago, Karneth had vented excess heat through a damaged cooling port. The repair had been delayed. The port was small, barely big enough for one person in a slim suit. The automated defenses might not even register something that small. Yi-1 made her decision. She went to the shuttle bay during the night shift when fewer people were around. She requisitioned a stealth shuttle using emergency codes. The bay officer looked suspicious but did not question a commander's authority. Ji-1 programmed the shuttle for silent running. No active sensors, minimal power signature. She plotted a course that would use the orbital debris field for cover. As she prepared to launch, her communicator buzzed. It was Admiral Chen. Commander Park, step away from that shuttle. Ji-1 closed her eyes. She had been caught. Sir, I cannot do that. Ji-1. The Admiral used her first name, which he never did. I understand why you want to do this. But it is suicide. Maybe, Ji-1 said. But those children have 4 hours left. Maybe less. I have to try. Ji-1. Ji-1. There was a long silence. Then Admiral Chen spoke quietly. I did not authorize this action. I do not know you took that shuttle. Do you understand me? Ji-1 understood. If she succeeded, the Admiral could support her. If she failed, he could deny knowledge. He was giving her permission, without saying it directly. Thank you, sir. Park, do not make me regret this. And do not die. That is an order. Yes, sir. Ji-1 launched the shuttle. The small craft slipped away from the main fleet, moving slowly to avoid detection. She navigated through debris, using chunks of destroyed satellites and old hull plating as cover. Karnath grew larger in her viewport. The fortress was dark, except for emergency lights. It looked dead already, but it was not dead. Not yet. Ji-1 checked her suit seals and breathed deeply. She had maybe 10 hours before the gray sleep would shut down her brain completely. 10 hours to save 200 people. She smiled grimly. It would have to be enough. The shuttle approached the damaged cooling port. Ji-1 suited up and entered the airlock. The fortress loomed before her, like a sleeping giant. Hold on, she whispered. She pushed off from the shuttle and flew toward the fortress alone. Ji-1 slipped through the damaged cooling port like a ghost. The narrow passage scraped against her suit. But she pushed forward carefully. After 5 minutes of crawling, she emerged into a maintenance corridor. The fortress was silent. Emergency lights cast red shadows across the walls. Ji-1 moved quickly through the empty hallways, her boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. Bodies lay everywhere. No, not bodies. People. Vraxians who had collapsed where they stood. Ji-1 checked the first one she found. An adult male slumped against a wall. His pulse was slow but steady. The gray sleep had taken him, but he was still alive. She pulled out her medical scanner and checked the air. The toxin concentration was high. Very high. Ji-1 felt a slight tingling in her fingers and toes. The gray sleep was already entering her system through her suit's air recycler. Her modified immune system was fighting it, but the toxin was strong. She had less time than she thought. Maybe 8 hours. Maybe less. So, Ji-1 accessed the fortress's emergency network through a wall panel. Most systems were locked down, but she could see a basic map. The residential section was 3 levels up. That was where the children would be. She climbed through access shafts and emergency stairs. More unconscious Vraxians lay in the corridors. Some had fallen while running. Others had collapsed at their stations, still trying to work when the toxin took them. On the residential level, Ji-1 heard something. A small sound, like crying. She followed the sound to a sealed door. The sign above it showed it was a classroom. Ji-1 tried the door controls, but they did not respond. Someone had locked it from inside. Hello? Ji-1 called. My name is Ji-1. I am human. I came to help. The crying stopped. Then, a small voice spoke, in heavily accented human language. Human? Really? Really? Can you open the door? We cannot. Teacher sealed it. He said the bad air cannot get in if we keep it sealed. G1 checked her scanner. The classroom had its own air supply, a safety feature for emergencies. But that supply would run out eventually. I need to come in, G1 said. I can help you. Teacher said not to open the door for anyone. Your teacher was right to protect you. But I promise I am here to help. I am going to override the lock. Okay? Do not be scared. G1 used her command codes to unlock the door. It slid open, with a hiss of air pressure equalizing. The classroom was full of children. 32 Vraxian children, ranging from very young to almost adult age, stared at her with large, frightened eyes. They huddled together in the center of the room. At the door, blocking the air vents with his own body, lay an elderly Vraxian male. He was not moving. G1 knelt beside him and checked for life signs. He was alive, but barely. The toxin had gotten through despite his efforts. He had used his own body as a filter to protect the children as long as possible. Teacher! A small girl cried out. She tried to run forward, but an older child held her back. He is still alive, G1 said quickly. But he needs medicine. I need to get all of you to the medical bay. Can you help me? The children looked at each other uncertainly. Vraxians and humans did not look very similar. G1 was taller than adult Vraxians, and her proportions were different. To the children, she probably looked strange and frightening. G1 made a decision. She reached up and unsealed her helmet. No! One of the older children shouted. The bad air. I will be okay for a while, G1 said. Though she felt the toxin immediately grow stronger, her head began to ache. I want you to see my face. I want you to know I am a person, just like you. I am here to help. She smiled at them. The small girl who had cried for the teacher took a hesitant step forward. You are very tall, the girl said. Yes, humans are usually tall. Are you scared? G1 thought about lying, then decided not to. Yes, I am very scared, but I am going to help you anyway. The girl nodded like this made sense. My name is Rilva. Teacher's name is Soratek. Hello, Rilva. Hello, Soratek. G1 touched the old teacher's shoulder gently. Soratek's eyes opened slightly. He looked at G1 with an expression of surprise and relief. You came, he whispered. Human. Came. I came. Your students are safe. But I need your security codes to move through the fortress. Soratek's hand trembled as he reached for a data pad on his belt. He pressed his thumb to it and handed it to G1. Central. Tower. He gasped. Computer core. Disable defenses. Others can come. I understand. I will reach the core. Children first. Children first, G1 agreed. I promise. Soratek smiled. His eyes closed. G1 felt his pulse stop. Rilva started crying again. Several other children joined her. G1 wanted to cry too. But there was no time. Soratek was very brave, she said loudly enough for all the children to hear. He saved all of you. Now I need you to be brave too. We need to move through the fortress to the medical bay. It will be dangerous, but if we are careful and quiet, we can make it. The children looked at each other. Then, one by one, they nodded. Good. Everyone hold hands. Make a line. The oldest children in front and back. Rilva, will you stay near me? The small girl nodded and took G1's hand. Her hand was so small and warm. G1 sealed her helmet again. Every movement was becoming harder. The toxin was spreading through her body. Her vision blurred slightly at the edges. She pushed the feeling away. There would be time to collapse later. Right now, she had 32 children depending on her. G1 led the children into the corridor. She checked every corner carefully, watching for creche patrols. The datapad showed her the safest route to the medical bay. They moved slowly and quietly through the dark fortress. Every few minutes, G1 had to stop and lean against a wall. The toxin was making her dizzy. Are you okay? Rilva whispered. I am fine. Just need to rest for a moment. They continued on. The medical bay was close now. Just 2 more corridors. Then G1 heard voices ahead. Kresh voices. Speaking in their harsh language. She pulled the children back around a corner and held up a hand for silence. Through the corridor junction ahead, she could see Kresh soldiers patrolling. 4 of them, heavily armed. The medical bay was on the other side of that patrol. G1 looked down at the frightened children. She thought about Soratek, who had given his life protecting them. She thought about her brother, who never got the chance to grow up. She checked her weapon and smiled grimly. Stay here, she told the oldest child. No matter what you hear, stay hidden and stay quiet. I will come back for you. Where are you going? Rilva asked. To make a path. G1 stood and walked toward the Kresh soldiers, her weapon ready. G1 moved away from the children, drawing the Kresh attention away from their hiding spot. She activated her suit's external speaker and shouted in the Kresh language. Hey, over here! The 4 Kresh soldiers turned in surprise. They raised their weapons immediately. But G1 was already moving. She fired twice, hitting the wall panel behind them. Sparks exploded outward, and the corridor lights died. In the darkness, G1 ran. She knew this fortress layout now. The Kresh did not. Alert! Alert! One soldier screamed into his communicator. Living target! Sector 7. More voices responded over the Kresh communication network. G1 could hear them through her suit's scanner. Soldiers were converging on her position from 3 directions. Good. That was exactly what she wanted. She led them on a chase through the maintenance corridors, always staying just ahead. When they got close, she would fire a few shots to keep them interested. She was not trying to kill them. She was trying to pull them away from the children. Her head pounded, her hands shook. The gray sleep was getting stronger. G1 stumbled and caught herself against a wall. She was breathing too hard. The Kresh were confused. Their scans had shown all life forms unconscious. How was someone still moving? They communicated frantically. Trying to understand, G1 used their confusion. She led them up 3 levels, away from the children and the medical bay. Every step was harder than the last. Her legs felt heavy. Her vision doubled, then cleared, then doubled again. She checked the time. 3 hours had passed since she entered the fortress. The children had 3 hours left before permanent brain damage. She had maybe 5 hours left herself. But first, she had to reach the central tower. According to Soratek's datapad, the tower housed the main computer core. From there, she could disable the automated defenses. She could vent the toxin from the fortress. She could send a proper distress signal that would bring help. The tower was 12 levels up. G1 looked at the access shaft that led there and wanted to cry. 12 levels. It might as well be 12 kilometers in her current condition. Behind her, Kresh soldiers were searching. She could hear their boots on the metal floors. Move, she told herself. Just move. She began climbing. The shaft was vertical with maintenance ladders. Each rung required focus. Her hands kept slipping. Twice, she almost fell. The toxin was making her coordination worse. At level 8, G1 had to stop. She hooked her safety line to the ladder and hung there, gasping. Her whole body hurt. Sleep pulled at her like a warm blanket. It would be so easy to just close her eyes. She thought about Rilva's small hand in hers. She thought about 32 children trusting her to save them. Get up, she whispered. She climbed. Level 9. Level 10. Level 11. At level 12, G1 pulled herself through the access hatch and collapsed on the floor. She lay there for a full minute, unable to move. Her communicator buzzed. Somehow, a signal was getting through. It was Admiral Chen. Park? Park. Respond if you can hear me. G1 activated her mic. Here, sir. Thank God. What is your status? Tower. Level 12. Multiple creche. Fortress. Children safe. For now. 2. Children. We detected weapon fire. What happened? Drew them. Away. G1 coughed. Need to. Reach core. Park. Listen to me. We have ships ready at the border. The moment you can disable those defense platforms, we will jump in. But you need to get to that core. Working. On it. G1 forced herself to stand. The tower core was behind a heavy security door. She pulled out Soratek's datapad and held it to the scanner. The door slid open. The core chamber was large and circular, filled with computer systems and holographic displays. In the center stood a command platform. This was where the fortress commander would direct all operations. G1 limped to the platform. Her fingers fumbled at the controls. Everything was labeled in Vraxian script, but Soratek's codes gave her access to translation functions. She found the defense control system. Her hand moved toward it. Then she stopped. Something was wrong. The system was too accessible. The creche had control of this fortress. Why would they leave the most important controls unlocked? G1 dug deeper into the code. Her vision was blurring badly now, making it hard to read. But she saw it. A trap. The creche had modified the system. Any attempt to disable the defenses would trigger a station-wide lockdown. All blast doors would seal. All airlocks would lock. And the creche flagship would be immediately alerted. Smart, G1 muttered. You are smart. But she was smarter. If she could not disable the defenses safely, she would use them. G1 began typing commands, working through the creche modifications. She could trigger the lockdown intentionally. She could seal the creche forces into separate sections of the fortress. Then she could vent the toxin manually. Section by section. It would take longer. It would be harder. But it would work. She just needed one more thing. She needed the fortress commander's authorization. According to the system, Commander Thelkos was in his office 2 doors down from the core chamber. G1 walked to the office. Each step sent waves of dizziness through her. She opened the door. Commander Thelkos lay unconscious behind his desk, a Vraxian male with military bearing even in sleep. G1 pulled an emergency stimulant from her medical kit. It was risky. The stimulant might react badly with the toxin. But she had no choice. She injected it into his arm. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, Thelkos gasped, and his eyes opened. He looked around wildly, reaching for a weapon. Easy, G1 said. I am human. I came to help. Thelkos focused on her. His expression turned suspicious. Human? Why would a human help? Because you asked. The distress signal. Woad. N-I. N-I. Woad. 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 N-I. That was Soratek. I did not authorize it. Soratek is dead. He died protecting children. 4. 4. Something in Thelkos's face changed. The children? Safe. For now. But I need your help, Commander. She explained the situation quickly. The trap in the computer system. Her plan to seal the creche and vent the toxin. The human fleet waiting to help. Thelkos listened. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment. You came alone, he said, into a fortress full of enemies, knowing you would be exposed to gray sleep. You did this for people you do not even know. Yes. Why? G1 thought about her brother. About Soratek. About Rilva's small hand. Because it was right, she said simply. Thelkos stood slowly. He swayed, but caught himself. The computer core is dangerous. If you make one mistake, we all die. I know. Then I will help you. They walked back to the core chamber together. G1's legs barely worked anymore. Thelkos supported her with one arm. You are very sick, he observed. I have about 2 hours left. Maybe less. Then we should hurry. At the core platform. Thelkas placed his hand on the authorization scanner. I, Commander Thelkas, give full fortress authority to Commander G1 Park of Humanity. Let all systems recognize her command. The computer acknowledged. G1 now had full control. Thank you, she said. Now get to the medical bay. The children need you. Tell them I am coming. What about you? I have work to do here. Thelkas looked at her for a long moment. Then he saluted, a gesture of deep respect. I will tell them. And I will tell everyone what you did here today. He left. G1 was alone in the core chamber. She sat at the command platform and began typing. Her hands shook badly now. Her vision was fading. But she worked carefully, setting up the lockdown sequence. Behind her, the door opened. G1 turned. A Kresh warlord stood in the entrance, flanked by 2 soldiers. He was larger than the others, with battle scars across his armor. So, the warlord said, in accented human language, you are the one causing trouble. Just one small human. G1 smiled despite her fear. Hello. I was wondering when you would find me. The warlord stepped closer. I am Warlord Keshra. This fortress is mine now. You will stop what you are doing. No, G1 said. I will not. Then you will die. Maybe. But not before I finish. G1's hand moved to the final command key. Warlord Keshra moved forward slowly, his weapon pointed at G1. Step away from the controls, human. I will not ask again. G1 kept her hand on the command key. You deployed Grey Sleep Toxin. You trapped 200 civilians, including children. You activated their own defenses against them. That was clever. Yes, very clever. Keshra seemed pleased. They will wake with damaged minds, perfect slaves. And I take this fortress without firing a shot. Except you made one mistake. Oh? And what was that? You did not expect someone would actually answer the distress call. G1 pressed the command key. Alarms screamed throughout the fortress. Blast doors slammed shut in every corridor. Emergency lights turned red. The computer announced in Vraxian and Kresh languages. Station-wide lockdown initiated. All personnel. Seal. In current positions. Keshra's eyes widened. He shouted into his communicator. All units, report! Voices responded in chaos. The Kresh forces were scattered throughout the fortress in dozens of different sections. Now each section was sealed off from the others. They were trapped. What have you done? Keshra roared. I used your trap against you, G1 said. She could barely see him now. Her vision was almost gone. Your soldiers are sealed in different sections. The computer will vent the toxin from civilian areas first, then military areas. Your people will breathe grey sleep while the Vraxians wake up. No. Keshra lunged forward. G1 pulled her weapon, but her hands were shaking too badly. She fired and missed. Stop the sequence, he snarled. Or I kill you now. G1 smiled through the pain. Already done. Only Commander Thelkas can stop it now. And he is in the sealed medical bay. With the children. Keshra threw her to the ground. G1's head hit the metal floor hard. Stars exploded across her failing vision. The warlord turned to the computer and began typing frantically. But every command was rejected. He did not have authorization. Only Thelkas did. You have failed, G1 said from the floor. The fortress is lost. Your soldiers are trapped. In about 20 minutes, a human fleet will arrive. You are finished. Keshra spun on her. Then you will die with me. He raised his weapon. G1 closed her eyes. She had done what she came to do. The children were safe. That was enough. But the shot never came. Hey! Big ugly one. G1's eyes opened. Standing in the doorway was Rilva. The small Vraxian girl held a piece of pipe in her hands like a weapon. 3 other children stood behind her. "Leave our human alone," Rilva shouted. Keshra laughed. "Foolish children. Get back to your sealed bay. Teacher Soratek showed us the emergency overrides," one of the older children said. "We can open any door if we work together. And we will not let you hurt G1, Rilva added firmly. Keshra aimed his weapon at the children. "Then, I will kill you all." Something inside G1 broke. Not from the toxin. From pure rage. She had come too far. Sacrificed too much. She would not let this monster hurt these children. G1 forced herself to stand. Every muscle screamed. Her vision was almost completely dark now. But she moved anyway. She charged at Keshra from behind. The warlord was focused on the children. He did not see her coming until she slammed into him. They crashed into the computer console together. Keshra was bigger and stronger. But G1 had spent years in military training. She knew where to hit. G1. Where to strike, to cause maximum pain. She drove her elbow into his throat. He gasped and stumbled back. She kicked his knee, and he dropped. She grabbed his weapon arm and twisted hard. The weapon fell. Keshra roared and punched her in the stomach. G1 flew backward, hitting the wall. She could not breathe. The world was spinning. "Run," she gasped to the children. "Run." But Rilva did not run. The small girl ran forward and swung her pipe at Keshra's leg. It connected with a solid thunk. The warlord screamed in pain and grabbed at Rilva. The other children rushed in, attacking with pipes and tools they had brought. They were too small to hurt him much, but they were distracting him. G1 pulled herself up. She could barely see, barely stand. But she saw Keshra's weapon on the floor. She dove for it. Her hands closed around the grip. She rolled and fired blindly in Keshra's direction. The shot hit him in the shoulder. He stumbled backward, howling. "Security override," Rilva shouted. She had reached the wall panel. Code 77 blue. A security field activated around Keshra, trapping him in a cylinder of blue light. He pounded against it. But the field held. "Teacher Soratek taught us all the emergency codes," Rilva said proudly. "In case of bad situations." G1 tried to laugh, but it came out as a cough. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the floor. "You came back," she said to the children. "I told you to stay safe." "You came for us," Rilva said simply. "So we came for you." The other children gathered around G1. One of them pulled out a medical kit. "Commander Thelkas woke up," an older boy explained. "He gave us medicine for the toxin and told us to bring it to you. But then you locked all the doors, so we had to use the overrides." A girl carefully injected something into G1's arm. "This is the antidote. The creche had it in their supply cache. Commander Thelkas found it. The antidote." G1 felt it spreading through her system, fighting against the gray sleep. Her vision began to clear slightly. The terrible pressure in her head eased just a little. "Thank you," she whispered. "Do not talk," Rilva said seriously. "You need to rest now. We will watch over you." G1 wanted to argue that she still had work to do. The venting sequence needed to be monitored. The defense platforms needed to be disabled. The human fleet needed access codes, but her body would not listen anymore. The antidote was helping, but she had pushed too far beyond her limits. Darkness pulled at her. "The computer," she mumbled. "Need to finish. We will help," the older boy said. He sat at the command console. "Teacher Soratek taught us how to read Vraxian command language. Tell us what to do. Thanks for watching." G1 talked them through it, one step at a time. Her voice was weak, but the children listened carefully. They worked together, calling out information to each other, checking each other's work. They completed the venting sequence. They disabled the defense platforms. They sent the access codes to the waiting human fleet on all frequencies. "Look!" one of the children shouted. Ships! Big ships coming! Through the tower windows, they could see vessels dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Human ships, Vraxian ships, even a few other species who had heard the distress call. Dozens of ships, all coming to help. We did it, Rilva said softly. She knelt beside G1 and took her hand. You did it, G1. Inside his security field, Keshra watched in fury as his plan fell apart. His soldiers were unconscious from the vented toxin. His ships were retreating from the overwhelming response force. The fortress was lost, all because one human had answered a distress call. G1 smiled at the children gathered around her. You did it too. You were all so brave. We learned from you, Rilva said. The core chamber doors opened. Commander Thelkas entered with human and Vraxian rescue teams. Medical personnel rushed to G1 immediately. The children, G1 said. Check them first. We are fine, Rilva protested. You are the one who is hurt. A human medic gently moved the children aside and began treating G1. You have severe toxin exposure, multiple injuries, and extreme exhaustion. You should be unconscious. Could not afford to be, G1 said. Thelkas knelt beside her. You saved my people. All of them. The venting sequence worked perfectly. Everyone is waking up. Thelkas. 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 Good. You gave me command authority. You trusted me, a stranger. You earned it. The Vraxian commander shook his head in wonder. I did not think any species would answer our distress call. Karnith is not strategically important. We are not powerful allies. I thought we would die alone, but you sent the call anyway. Soratek did. He believed someone would come. He believed in the basic goodness of people. G1 thought about the old teacher who had died protecting his students. He was right to believe. The medics lifted G1 onto a stretcher. Rilva grabbed her hand and would not let go. Can I come with you? The small girl asked. I will be fine. You should stay with your people. You are my people too now. You saved us. That makes you family. G1 felt tears in her eyes. Then yes. You can come with me. Then yes. You can come with me. As they carried her from the core chamber, G1 looked back at the command console where the children had worked together to finish her mission. She looked at Keshra, trapped in his security field. She looked at Commander Thelkas, standing tall among his waking people. One person had answered a distress call. But many people had worked together to save the day. That, she thought as darkness finally took her, was what being human meant. G1 woke 3 days later in a hospital ship orbiting Karnith. The room was white and clean and quiet. Sunlight from the nearby star streamed through the window. She tried to sit up. Every muscle in her body complained loudly. Finally awake, Admiral Chen sat in a chair beside her bed. He looked tired but relieved. You have been unconscious for 72 hours. The doctors were worried. The civilians? The children? All safe, all awake. The antidote worked for everyone. There is no permanent damage. Ji-won let out a breath she did not know she was holding. Thank God. The Kresh fleet retreated when they saw our response force. Admiral Chen continued. Warlord Keshra is in custody. He will face trial for war crimes. Good. The Admiral leaned forward. Commander Park, you disobeyed direct orders. You took military equipment without authorization. You engaged enemy forces alone. You risked your life without backup or support. Yes, sir. I know. I should court-martial you. Yes, sir. Admiral Chen smiled slightly. But I am not going to. Instead, I am giving you a medal for valor and a formal reprimand for disobeying orders. You can have both. I accept both, sir. I thought you would. The Admiral stood. You have visitors. A lot of visitors. I will send them in a few at a time. But first, there is someone very insistent about seeing you. The door opened. Rilva ran in. followed by Commander Thelkas. The small girl climbed carefully onto the bed and hugged G1 gently. "You are awake. I was so worried." "I am okay. The doctors fixed me up." Thelkas approached and stood at attention. "Commander Park, on behalf of the Vraxian people, I present you with the title of Shield Bearer. It is our highest civilian honor, given only to those who defend others at great personal cost." He placed a crystal medallion on a chain around her neck. It was carved with symbols G1 did not recognize, but somehow understood meant protection and sacrifice. "I do not know what to say," G1 said honestly. "You do not need to say anything. Your actions spoke for you." Over the next hour, visitors came and went. Human officers congratulated her. Vraxian civilians thanked her. The children from the classroom came together, bringing drawings they had made, showing G1 as a hero, with a cape made of stars. G1 laughed at the drawings even though it hurt her ribs. "I do not have a cape." "You should," Rilva said seriously. "All heroes have capes." One of the older children, the boy who had helped with the computer, spoke up. "We want to learn human language better. We want to understand humans like you, humans like me, brave humans. Humans who help even when it is dangerous." G1 shook her head. "I am not special. Any human would have done the same thing." But even as she said it, she wondered if it was true. Would anyone have come? Or had she done something unusual? Later, when the visitors had left, and Rilva had finally been convinced to go rest, G1 was alone with her thoughts. She looked at the crystal medallion. She thought about everything that had happened. One distress call. One person answering. And now, two species were closer than they had ever been before. The door opened again. A Vraxian female entered, elderly and dignified. She wore robes that marked her as someone important. "Commander Park, I am Elder Siltara. I speak for the Vraxian Council." "Elder." G1 tried to sit up straighter, but her body would not cooperate. "Please, rest. I will not stay long." Siltara sat in the chair Admiral Chen had used. "I wanted to speak with you personally, to understand why you came. The distress call said you needed help. So I came. But we are not allies, not truly. Our people have been neutral to each other. You still needed help." Siltara studied her for a long moment. "In our history, we have sent distress calls before. To other species, other powers. They did not answer. They said we were not worth the risk, that our fortress was not strategically important, that our people did not matter enough." G1 felt anger at that. "That is wrong." "Yes, it is wrong. But it is how the galaxy works. Or how we thought it worked." Siltara leaned forward. Then a human heard our call. A single human who decided that lives mattered more than strategy. Who came alone because no one else would come with her. Who nearly died saving people she did not know. "I just did what was right." "Exactly." Siltara smiled. "That is what makes it remarkable. You thought it was simply right. Not heroic, not strategic, just right." The elder stood and walked to the window. Outside, Karnath floated in space, lights on again, alive again. "I have already heard the stories spreading," Siltara said. "Through Vraxian space, through human space, even to other species. They are calling it the distress signal that made humanity fearless. They say you claimed our fortress before the antidote activated. They say you fought a warlord while dying from toxin. They say children saved you because you saved them first. That is all true. Except the fearless part. I was terrified the whole time. Fear and courage are not opposites, child. Courage is acting despite fear." Siltara turned to face her. "You have changed something important. You have shown the galaxy that someone will answer. That distress calls matter. That lives matter. I hope so. More than hope. I promise you. This story will spread. And the next time someone is in danger, the next time someone sends a distress call, they will think of you. They will think maybe someone will come. Maybe a human will come. Over the following weeks, as G1 recovered, she saw what Siltara meant. News of Karneth spread quickly through multiple species. The story changed as it traveled, becoming bigger and more dramatic. Some versions were barely recognizable, but the core remained the same. A human answered a distress call when no one else would. Human-Vraxian relations transformed almost overnight. Trade agreements were signed. Cultural exchange programs started. Vraxian children began learning human languages. Human children learned about Vraxian history. Rilva visited G1 every day during her recovery. The small girl had decided G1 was her adopted human, and nothing would change her mind about that. When you are well, Rilva said one day, will you come visit my home? My parents want to meet you. And I want to show you my rock collection. You collect rocks? Yes. I have 43 different kinds. Some are very rare. G1 smiled. I would love to see your rock collection. Promise. I promise. When G1 was finally cleared to return to duty, a ceremony was held on Karneth itself. Thousands of Vraxians attended. Hundreds of humans came. Representatives from a dozen other species watched. Commander Thelkas spoke first. We were dying and alone. We thought no one cared. But one human proved us wrong. One human showed us that in the dark spaces between stars, there is still light. There is still hope. There is still someone who will answer when you call for help. Admiral Chen spoke next. Commander Park disobeyed orders. She risked everything. Some have asked me if I am angry about this. I tell them no. I am proud. Because she understood something important. Some things matter more than orders. Some things matter more than strategy or safety. And sometimes, one person doing what is right can change everything. Then G1 had to speak. She stood before thousands of people, feeling small and uncomfortable. I do not feel like a hero, she said honestly. I was scared the whole time. I made mistakes. I almost failed. The only reason I succeeded was because other people helped me. Sora Tech, who died protecting children. Commander Thelkas, who trusted me. The children who were brave enough to save me when I could not save myself. And all the people who came when I sent the signal for help. She paused, looking at the faces watching her. Human faces. Vraxian faces. Others. Someone asked me why I came to Karneth. Why I answered the distress call. The answer is simple. Because you asked. Because you needed help. Because I could help. That is enough reason. That should always be enough reason. She held up the crystal medallion of the shield bearer. I accept this honor. Not for myself, but for everyone who believes that distress calls should be answered. That people in danger should not be abandoned. That lives matter more than strategy, or politics, or fear. And I promise you all something. The next time someone sends a distress call, humanity will hear it. We will answer. We will come. Because that is what shield bearers do. That is what friends do. That is what people who care about each other do. The applause was deafening. It went on for minutes. Later, after the ceremony, G1 stood with Rilva looking out at the stars through a fortress window. Do you think people will really remember? Rilva asked. Will they really answer distress calls now? I think so. I hope so. Because of you. Because of all of us. G1 put her hand on the small girl's shoulder. You were brave too. You and all the children. You saved me. You saved us first. Then we saved each other. That is how it should work. Rilva nodded, satisfied with this answer. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the ships come and go from the fortress. Human ships and Vraxian ships, working together now, protecting together. In the months that followed, the story continued to spread. 3 more distress calls were answered by mixed species fleets within the first month. 5 more, the month after that. Species that had ignored each other before began talking, trading, helping. The Kresh Dominion, seeing the new cooperation between species, became more cautious. Warlord Keshra's trial became a symbol. His conviction showed that cruelty and conquest would not be tolerated. G1 returned to regular duty, but everything was different now. She received messages from all over known space. Thank you messages. Questions about what happened. Requests to visit and speak. A human journalist asked her if she regretted what she did, if she would do it again. G1 thought about Soratek dying to protect children. About Rilva's small hand in hers. About 32 children who had been brave when they needed to be. Yes, she said simply. I would do it again. I will do it again. Because that is what it means to be human. We hear when someone calls for help, and we answer. Always. The journalist published her words. They spread across human space and beyond. In 100 languages, on 1,000 worlds, people repeated them. Send the distress signal to humans. They answer when others will not. And in the dark spaces between stars, fewer people died alone. Fewer distress calls went unanswered. Because one human had shown the galaxy something they had forgotten, that someone would always come, that help was always possible, that courage was contagious, and that sometimes all it took to change everything was one person deciding to do what was right, no matter the cost. G1 Park looked at the stars and smiled. Somewhere out there, someone might need help. Someone might be scared and alone, but they were not abandoned. Not anymore, because humanity was listening. And humanity would answer, always.